Okay, so we're here with Nicholas Norwitz. I've got reports that the sound is all good now. So listen, valedictorian in his class at Dartmouth University, like that's cool enough in itself. Then graduated with a undergraduate of cell biology and molecular biochemistry. I literally have to read it to pronounce it. That's how you know that somebody's smart, if you can't actually remember what the name of the thing is. And then accepted to Harvard Med, which is massive, right? Is that the top medical college in all of the United States?
I think it's ranked that way. Do what they will, but yeah, it was a great thing to be accepted. I was really excited.
Absolutely, and this is the coolest thing, and this is why in hearing your story, I respected you before I met you, and then now talking to you, I'm just excited that you're in this community and on this mission because you left that your dream of going to med school to pursue a PhD in ketone metabolism at Oxford U.
Yeah, so to be clear, I'm not the clinician. My dream is to prepare for people, but I found out about this research, the research going on with it, some stuff, and decided to put off med school, which, like you said, was my dream. I've always thought about becoming a clinician, but I just figured this space is future and it would be my career as well as super interesting to take some time off, live abroad, research stuff, then go back to med school with this background, because I really think this could change the face of medicine, particularly neurodegenerative disease, which right now is struggling to make progress.
So, hey, Nick, come just a little bit closer to the computer because we are having a little bit of trouble hearing you. So.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's better. And I want to hear everything that you have to say because, look, so a little bit more background about Nick. I'll put in a whole bunch of stuff, and I think we're going to hear a lot more about him because, when you were in your teens, you, the guy, can walk the walk and talk the talk as well. He's absolutely ripped. He runs marathons. He does push-up contests. So he's kind of like a D'Agostino in that he's not a nerdy scientist. But then you got rocked with some health problems, yeah?
Yeah, I think my story is a lot like a lot of people, where you think you're doing everything right, you listen to the guidelines, and eating well, and then under the hood things are just going wrong. So then everything kind of like changed for me. I went from being able to run a sub-3 marathon in my teens. I had all the push-up records from martial arts. Then I got inflammatory bowel disease. Before that, I actually developed osteoporosis of all things. For those of you who know anything about medicine, a weird thing to develop. Found that I was at high risk for neurodegenerative disease, and it just kind of all clicked with me. What's going on in terms of your metabolic health under the hood is not necessarily reflected in your physical health, especially when you're young. So it really kind of drew me into that space, health space. I've had a lot of fun kind of digging and learning, and still doing well. I think you can do well despite everybody has their.
Well, listen, move a little bit closer to the screen again. Sorry, buddy. We should have. I thought it was fine, but apparently they can't hear it out in cyber world. So yeah, we'll be okay. But so when you did that, that's how you discovered the keto diet. That started the interest in it. And then now you're at, and that was the real interesting thing that I think you said there. Because of a lot of the different things that you studied, you found that you were, at a massive risk for neurological disorder, Alzheimer's. And so this is like your biggest area of interest in your studies now. Am I right?
Yeah, so the timeline's actually a little bit different. I got interested in keto for most of the health stuff. I was intellectually interested in it, and I actually didn't find out I was at high risk for neurodegenerative disease until I already got to Oxford. So that was incidental. I actually that's a coincidence. And it's the kind of thing you bum around for a little bit, you're upset about it, and then you kind of redefine it as your purpose. This isn't a problem for me right now, but a problem for me, down the line, for future me, sure. And to be aware that I think it's powerful and it motivates me to really get into this research. Now, personal, which is kind of cool.
Well, that's one thing that I actually wore my my brains and ketone shirt, which is something that Prove It did to support the Charlie Foundation in the United States during a fundraising campaign. and it's a massive area of interest in my own life. And I know, and this is one thing that I'm very well, I hope that we can get across to people, is that everybody, or I guess I'll ask it as a question, does everybody need to be worried about Alzheimer's or neurodegeneration?
Not everybody, only those who want to live to be old, which I think is no. I plan on not dying young. So if you plan on living to be old, then yes, you should worry. I'm not saying you're going to get neurological disease, but all things being equal, you don't know anything about your genetic background. By the time you're 85, you have a 1 in 3 chance of developing Alzheimer's, which means you have a 2 in 3 chance of not. But it's kind of like, I like to analogize it to wearing a bike helmet. You don't have to, but taking the precaution is probably smart, and I would. So I think everybody should think about their neurological disease if they plan to, or think about neurological disease, cognitive health, if they plan to live to be an old age, because the brain is the most precious thing we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the signs? I mean, other than obviously if you're forgetting your keys, if you got some memory loss. Come here, Kai, say hi to everybody.
Daddy, can you blow this up for me?
Kai sometimes runs in on meetings. So when other than like memory loss or like forgetting, or actually maybe you can answer that. If I'm forgetting my keys around and stuff like that, is that signs of neurodegeneration as we're getting older? Is that signs of like, what are some of the signs that people are kind of losing their cognitive function?
Yeah, I mean, some of the signs you consider natural aging, and whether or not you think aging itself is a disease, I actually argue that it probably is, but is normal. The thing is, you're talking about the symptoms of, say, Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, of the neurological disease. By the time you really have symptoms that are clinically diagnosable, it's a little bit too late. So you don't generally notice the pathology of the disease develops decades before. But one of the common things that all these different neurological diseases have in common, whether it's Alzheimer's, which is marked by memory loss, or Parkinson's, which is actually a motor dysfunction disease primarily, so you get tremors, you stop being able to move properly. All of these diseases have in common mitochondrial dysfunction. The mitochondria fuel your cells. It's all about fuel utilization, and it's not only common to all neurological diseases. Basically, every chronic disease you can think of, diabetes, obesity, cardiac disease, everything that plagues the developed world, I think starts in the mitochondria. And actually, this is something I'll talk about at the conference that we're going to have. But I like this rhetorical question for this notion. When do you think, say mitochondrial disease develops pretty early in these processes, particularly Alzheimer's? At what age do you think your mitochondrial function might start to decline?
I think in your 20s.
Your 20s. Do any of your viewers have guesses? What are the most extreme guesses?
Any guess out there? 20s? Is this like, do we get a prize if we get it right? I'm going to say 21 then.
Okay, yeah, you get a prize if you get it right.
We're on a 20-second delay, so we won't see it coming in.
I'll just answer the question then. There's actually evidence that it could start as soon as conception. So that the mitochondria you inherit from your mother's egg could actually affect your mitochondrial health. And this is not to get people paranoid. I'm not saying you're doing genetics deterministic. I'm just saying that the mitochondrial health really could be the first key thing, and so it's critical to do everything you can to improve your mitochondrial function. And a big part of that, I think, a strong component could be keto, low carbohydrate, high fat diet.
Yeah.
I assume we're going to talk about.
Well, absolutely. I mean, so that's the big question, right? So how can we, okay, we all want to get old. We all want to get old with our cognitive function. We want to stop getting diseases. If we have this preconceived, kind of tendency to go towards it in our family, we want to stop that as well. What are some other things, within that keto diet, that we can do to protect our brains?
Well, genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the triggers. The first thing I'll say is there's a lot you can do to protect your brain. Sleep's super important. It's kind of when you clear out all the debris from your brain. I won't go into lymphatics and stuff, but that's super interesting. Exercise is really important. Staying mentally but also socially engaged is really important. Controlling your stress, and all these things kind of synergize. So the more you can do, the better. But then when it comes to keto diet, which I'm quickly becoming a convert in the space, but really finding it interesting. One of the things the keto diet does, I'd say the two big ones to communicate to the audience, two kind of pillars, is it reduces what's called oxidative stress and also inflammation, which are two really important things to decrease if you want to prevent neurological disease and improve your mitochondrial health.
So, listen, tell me this: why don't I mean? Because we know, and that's what we talked earlier about it. I know you're a massive fan of it. I know that when you when we talked about medical associations and their recommendations, and people just not understanding quite yet what this whole evolution of keto is and how important it is for everybody to just to really get rid of the sugar and move to a low sugar, low processed food, high live, fresh live food diet with lots of healthy fats. What do you think? Because you are not only are you of an age where you just like I wasn't. We weren't alive when Ansel Keys made up the stuff that he did about this low fat diet, right? We weren't around when everybody was getting lied to and this information was getting drilled into everybody's heads. But now, still, there's people out there that are saying that that a keto diet or a carb appropriate diet isn't the best way to go. But you're in there, you're behind the scenes in the science, you're seeing stuff that hasn't been released yet, you're doing some of the scientific research yourself. So, is all the world going to discover this?
I mean, short answer is I think so. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't have preferred medical school. Upon research this, I also don't want to be dogmatic and kind of make a blanket statement. I don't necessarily think the ketogenic diet is for everyone. I think that we don't have the research to say that. I really like the term nutrigenetics. The idea that your nutrition should fit your genes. Some people might be incredibly insulin sensitive, might do really well on like a different diet. For example, the Okinawans who eat a really high carb diet. It's very different than high processed carbs, developed world, but they do really well. However, I think most of us have a different problem and live in a different food environment where adopting a low carbohydrate, high fat ketogenic lifestyle would be beneficial. So all things being equal, the fact that we can't really personalize nutrition yet, I think this is the smartest way to go, and I think the research is supporting that. With respect to the standard dietary guidelines, people not really appreciating the way things are going, nutrition is very interesting. It's such a religious space. The nutrition science really isn't that sciencey, and so it's really difficult. I don't expect people. I mean, I didn't really dig into the literature and suss out, what's a Time News headline, what's a good study, what's the kind of crappy epidemiological study. We talk about Ansel Keys, I won't go down that rabbit hole, but there are lots of different studies, and they have different strengths. And what ends up happening in this space is that you have a standard nutritional guidelines, and they get amplified by media and industry, and everything just kind of enters this vicious cycle, and a lot of great research gets suppressed. And so I think, in the end, data always wins out. It just takes a little bit of time, and I think nutrition and science is stuck in a little bit of a rut. And I think that trend will change, but definitely.
Listen, to finalize off on the science thing, and then I want to talk a little bit about your presentation, and then we'll get everybody off of here. But you are, so with that science, some people say, look, they're, the keto diet hasn't been around for a long time. They think it's a fad diet. We know that that's just crazy talk. It's been around for ages. But in all this, it has been even at Oxford University, at University of South Florida, at some of the other collegiate level scientific labs that are studying this, it has really been kind of snowballing. as they are finding out, like, we never heard about this for neurological disorder before very long ago. They never talked about, the ketones running the brain better than glucose until very long ago. So now it just like, to help everybody understand, it just takes some time for all these studies to get done, right?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say, because you mentioned the word bad, is I want to make it very clear. What makes the ketogenic diet, I think, somewhat distinct from other diets out there is it's the only one that really didn't. Think about the low-fat diet, all right? Standard nutritional guidelines put in this high-carb, low-fat recommendation in the 70s in the U.S. So we've had, 50 years of it, whereas we evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to basically be on a ketogenic diet. That's what most people. This is not a fad. This is discovering evolutionary wisdom, combining it with the science that we now have, and trying to draw out what we can of that. So I definitely wouldn't call it a fad. And then to your point, it's so new. I mean, 5 years ago, keto was not very popular. Now it's becoming hugely popular, and I think it's telling that there are so many researchers and physicians that are converting to the low carbohydrate and high fat ketogenic perspective. Still a minority, but there's a lot of converts in that direction. And I don't know anybody that's gone from being ketogenic, low carb, high fat the other way around. And then to the third point you made is, all these things that are being discovered. One of the things I love about this space, and I've experienced this personally, and most people that have tried keto have as well, stuck with it, is that you kind of go for it for one reason, and then stick with it for another. So you go for it for weight loss, and then you have this amazing cognitive response. You go for it for your Alzheimer's risk, but then your IBS clears up. And so we're only starting to figure out, all the applications this may have. A lot of the research now is being conducted. For example, my lab, we got, back in 2003, my supervisor got $10 million from the U.S. military to develop RS. It took a little while to develop it, get all the clearance, and then we applied it in athletes for performance improvement for strategic reasons, because we market for them as food, and only then, once it's a food and a supplement, we can easily transition to the medical application, so we don't have to go through the FDA and the drug stuff. And so that research is brand new. In fact, in terms of the ester that we developed, right now it's properly a research tool, but I'm in my first year, so I'm brand new, and the student that's 1 year above me, Dr. Soto, in his second year, we're the first two people to be applying this in chronic disease. He's doing diabetes, I'm doing neurodegenerative disease. So it's that new, with at least the exogenous ketones. And all of a sudden, it's really only beginning to come out of these humans. There are some really cool papers in animal models, I won't go into those here unless you want to, but
No.
within the last decade, and you look at the curves on PubMed, and it just exponentially rising. It's super cool.
It is cool. And so that's like a lot of people that are watching this, they're either they've been involved with this for a while, they got introduced to exogenous ketones because of the supplements, and then it opened for a lot of people's minds, opened their eyes to the keto diet. So for a lot of people now, the introduction to the keto diet is exogenous ketones and this way to get into ketosis. And what it's created is this community of awesome people that are all out there getting very passionate about this and creating experiences. And so now you're about to, when we're in a week's time, a week and a couple of days or something like that, we're going to be presenting with Adrian Soto at somewhere in and around Oxford University.
I don't know if it's set, but we need to get to that.
I know. And we're going to, in the post that is here, we'll put in the information about ticketing, a way to get a discount for everybody in the Prova community or everybody that knows people in the Prova community. And so I'm pumped to see you present about all this stuff. I'm pumped to see Soto present about it. We got some other incredible naturopath, Dr. Jen. I think some other people are maybe coming as well. Gavin Allenson, who knows everything about the sports side of things. So we're just going to continue the education of it. And like you said, we're not at the start of it, but we are certainly nowhere close to any, I think, level of knowing the potential for this yet. It's only just getting started. And, today when we talked, I thought it was so cool the way you can put things, and you come at it from a different angle, and you've seen it from different angles. I would love to have, if you'd like to, you back to maybe talk a little bit about the studies on some other calls and kind of make sense of them and give everybody a sense for, I mean, you've already done it tonight, but just how big this can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come talk a little bit more, hardcore science about it. And, like you said, we're really at the beginning of it. I think the most compelling thing for me is not necessarily even the research studies, although some of them are really strong. But the things that I love data. I'm always like, show me the data. But it's also impossible to ignore when you talk to physicians, as I've talked to a lot of physicians, like they've implemented this and they've seen the impact universally with their patients. Everybody, almost everybody, has an amazing response. And those stories, humans are about stories. And those stories are really impossible to ignore. So using those stories kind of motivate public, support the research, and developing the research and see what falls out, the mechanisms of being able to capitalize on those is going to be very exciting, and I'm super excited for the Keto Conversation conference that's coming up.
Well, just wait until you get to meet. And I'm telling you, I don't. I know that there will be. I know some of the people that are coming to see you at Oxford, coming to see us at Oxford, and already the stories that they have had, the life-changing things that have gone on for them and for their friends and for their family and just people they've shared with is gonna absolutely blow your mind. And I know that there's also going to be some people specifically in your area of interest that you're going to get a chance to meet just because of this event, and that's just the start of it, bud. And I tell you what, I don't know about everybody else, but ideally someday we see you on stage at a Keto Academy presenting some of the research that you're just getting going with now, and I think that'd be a totally awesome thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes. It's super cool to be here, all the people I get to meet. And I am really, really fresh. I'm super excited, putting out publications, loving learning, but I got here in October. I'm 23, I just finished my undergrad, so, you've probably talked to a ton of experienced people with, great stories and experience publishing their keto diets. I'm brand new to this. I have a lot of energy, and I'm really excited about it, but I am brand new, so it'll be exciting to see where the research takes me as I, develop my career over the next few years, and yeah.
Well, listen, I totally appreciate you coming on. You're in actually the lab in Oxford. So for you keto nerds out there, he's in one of the epicenters of the keto research world, right behind him, right there. Is that it?
Well, we got some of the posters on the wall from Cell Papers or Exercise Bike there. It's a really cool department. I mean, I just sit here. I have my keto breakfast. I go on the bike, listen to some low-carb Death Down Under conferences while working out, and walk down the hall last Tuesday. So, I have my breakfast, read some papers, do my workout, watch some lectures, walk 50 feet down the hall to our main lecture hall, and hear Jennifer Doudna give a lecture, and I don't know if your listeners know who she is, but she's the person that discovered CRISPR-Cas, this new gene editing technology that is taking over the world. She's almost certainly going to get a Nobel Prize. So that's kind of the caliber of the people that's proven. The stuff that's happening here, just being the baby in the lab is so exciting to learn from everybody. And anyway, yes.
Well, that's awesome.
My enthusiasm, but it is really, really cool.
I think it's super cool. And look, I think that everybody, I'm going to save this live, and everybody saw it. This was you'll always go back and remember the first time he'll become to be known as Dr. Keto. Maybe. But listen, it was very cool. I really appreciate it, and look forward to many more chats, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. It was really a pleasure, and I'm super excited to meet you in person, and safe travels from Australia.
Everybody, listen, thank you very much, and we'll put in the information about this. We'll get everybody a discount on tickets to get to it. Share it with anybody that you know that's in the vicinity of Oxford University, and let's get as many people getting educated by ridiculously smart person like this man right here. Thanks again, buddy.
All right. Thank you so much.
See ya.